I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video. And in today's video, we are going to be doing a comic book review on Wolverine Deep Cut issue number 1. This is a comic book written by Chris Claremont with art done by Edgar Salazar. This was a comic book series that I saw got announced by the Twitter account Discussing Film while I was on break one day at work on my phone scrolling through Twitter, and they used this as the cover art page to promote the book on Discussing Film's Twitter account. I instantly saw that this was going to be the cover page for Wolverine Deep Cut issue number 1, and I instantly added this book to my pull list. But before I get into reviewing Wolverine Deep Cut issue number 1, there are a few things that I actually want to tell you guys. I just want to say thank you to every single person that has watched my recent comic book reviews. I reviewed Wolverine Revenge issue number 1, and then I also did a review of Aliens vs. Avengers issue number 1, and I also debuted this comic book review format during the Ripazine number 1 review as well. You guys have really enjoyed these videos and have shown a lot of love for them, so thank you guys for that. I really do enjoy doing comic book reviews like this. The reason why there is kind of a gap in between uploading a comic book review from one to the other is because, if you guys don't know this, I'm actually doing these comic book reviews on my phone, so I have to kind of wait until it's actually pretty quiet in my area because the ambulance is literally right across the street as it goes down this main street where I live. So just so you know, just in case you are kind of wondering, hey, why is this not as consistent as he said it was going to be in his channel update video, was because I like to kind of wait and pick a right moment to actually record the comic book review. That way you guys don't hear like the ambulance sounds or any motorcycles around here, because I want you guys to get the best experience when you are getting me reviewing comic books, actually. And you know what's crazy, guys? I actually have every single Wolverine book right now on my pull list. So I have Wolverine Revenge, that series, and then I have obviously Wolverine Deep Cut, and then I also have the From the Ashes A New Beginning Wolverine book over there in my pile of comics to read and review for you guys as well. So most of my Marvel comics that I'm reading right now is basically Avengers and Wolverine. That's crazy, actually. I never thought that would actually happen, but I really do love Wolverine. He is one of my favorite superheroes of all time. And just so you guys know, the other two comic books that I reviewed, Wolverine Revenge and Aliens vs. Avengers, those aren't like in continuity. This one is. So this one, if you guys don't know, is a story that takes place when Wolverine left the X-Men in Uncanny X-Men issue 246. So Logan set off from the Australian outback, leaving behind what was left of the X-Men for a personal mission. So this is essentially a side story from Logan going off on his own. And I would say to anybody out there, if you've never read a Wolverine comic in your entire life, this is the perfect Wolverine comic to start with. This was absolutely amazing. And this comic book is only 28 pages. To be fair, 20 pages of story when you consider like ads and shit, for only $3.99. If you have not added Wolverine Deep Cut to your pull list, I recommend doing so. Also because it's only going to be a 4-part miniseries. And obviously it's written by Chris Claremont, who is one of, or if not the most widely considered best X-Men comic book writer of all time. And the art in this book is absolutely amazing. Edgar Salazar really knocked it out of the park. So let's get into Wolverine Deep Cut issue number 1. It opens up basically throughout the entire book. with Wolverine monologuing towards himself. And it's actually pretty interesting. You know, there were some little criticisms of it got a little annoying, but I felt like throughout the comic book, it got better and better with each scene because each time he was monologuing, something more impactful happened actually, right? So throughout the comic book, Wolverine is essentially fighting Sabretooth, you know? And they have this vicious bloody battle throughout the entire book, and it gets even more gory with each passing page. Now, for the most part, let's be completely honest here. Wolverine would torch Sabretooth because obviously the adamantium edge that Wolverine has over him would easily just make him dominate him. But, you know, there have been several X-Men or Uncanny X-Men runs or several other X-Men books where Sabretooth is on par with Wolverine. I kind of like it when they're on par with each other because it makes for a better dynamic book. But, you know, to each his own, obviously, right? So Wolverine is inner monologuing towards himself in these parts. And what was really one of my favorite inner monologue parts was that he was monologuing that anytime he was happy, Sabretooth would find the woman that he loved at that current moment in time and then straight up kill them. So anytime Wolverine was happy, Sabretooth was there to ruin it. And you can just see like the dynamic in their fight right now. They're fighting in this like snow, in this like area where it's a lot of snow, forest, all the perfect setting for that. What I also liked in this comic book was that the impact that Sabretooth had on Wolverine as far as like his actual attacks made perfect sense because it wouldn't really make sense to obviously try to punch him because obviously that's going to really hurt because he's literally made of like metal, right? With the skeleton of adamantium. So Sabretooth throughout the book made efficient direct attacks that would easily cripple him. And I really, really like that actually, right? And they also make it apparent in the book that, you know, Sabretooth's healing factor is on par with Wolverine's. Like in this part right here where Sabretooth gets a kick in and he obviously hits him in the stomach right there. And you can see that really actually did some impact right there. Because Sabretooth, he doesn't have an adamantium, you know, buff like Wolverine, but his physical nails on his fingers and his toes are really strong. Like straight up, if he try to slash you as hard as he could, he'd probably take off your entire head. At the very least, you're going to be insta-dead, right? So in the fight, it rages on. He grabs Wolverine, and he basically taunts Wolverine for obviously being short, because Wolverine is short in the comic books. He's taller in the movies because of Hugh Jackman's portrayal, right? And just slams him into the ground. This is a gnarly, brutal fight here. Then after that, Wolverine gets the upper hand again, slashing him on his side, and then Sabretooth slices Wolverine under his neck, as you can see right there. Absolutely just insanely brutal fight. Then after that, we get a bit of, you know, a flashback with Wolverine talking to Storm, actually. He's basically talking to her about, hey, should I go on this trip right now? There's nothing really left of the X-Men after the X-Men issue that I just told you at the beginning part of the video. She basically gives him the okay, you know, come back in one piece and stay safe. It's a really cool scene, actually, right here. I really enjoyed it. The fight rages on, actually. Sabretooth continues to taunt Wolverine. And this Sabretooth is really adept, being able to predict where he was going to slash, dodge the attacks, actually. Then Wolverine thinks he's going to get the upper hand by basically jamming his adamantium claws inside of, you know, Sabretooth's rib cage. And that was like, oh my God, that's fucking insane. And then after that, we get a part where Sabretooth basically says, I predicted you'd be able to do that, and that's why I wanted you there. And then you get this next part right here, and this is, to me, the most gruesome, bloodiest part of the comic book. But before we get to that, we have another, I would say it's a flashback of basically the characters of, give me one sec, I can remember their names, characters of Shadowcat and Yukio. So basically, they're kind of talking about their experiences with Wolverine, like Wolverine trained Shadowcat, obviously, and then another character, Yukio, is talking to Shadowcat about, like, what do you actually like about Logan in general? So really, it's a nice, like, character building moment here, actually. And I imagine this is going to get, you know, explained later on in issue number 2, this stronghold that they are actually trying to get into. It's called the Yashida Stronghold Ancestral Fortress of Clan Yashida. So I imagine that has something to do later on in the other issue as well. Okay, then you get to the big point of what happened with Sabretooth. Sabretooth actually ripped out Wolverine's eyes. Straight up, you see all the blood right there. All that was actually just amazing. Look at that artwork right there. Look at all that detail. You can even see what Wolverine sees right here of Sabretooth with his eyes gone. Now, people have to factor in, they will come back because Wolverine has an insane healing factor, obviously one of the best, along with Deadpool's, obviously, you know? So after ripping out Wolverine's eyes, after anticipating Wolverine would push his adamantium claws into his rib cage, that's just, holy shit, this book just has all the types of action. Love it. Wolverine slashes his stomach once again, hard enough to get him to collapse, because Wolverine's internal monologue was a lot of stuff that they have experienced throughout their history of being rivals, honestly. But it always has come to one thing, which basically is Wolverine always winning, right? So when he finally gets the upper hand on how to fight Sabretooth, you can see he really starts to dominate the fight, actually. And then after that, he does end up killing Sabretooth. But then here comes the twist, actually. So he ends up killing Sabretooth, like I just said. And then after that, Wolverine starts understanding there's something wrong with this Sabretooth. And then he also had another little mini flashback of actually fighting Sabretooth again, because they've been rivals for a very, very long time. And then after that, the Sabretooth that Wolverine fought all throughout this issue has been revealed to be a clone, actually, you know? So the clone was actually made by Mr. Sinister, and Wolverine realizes that he has to go after Mr. Sinister because he realizes he can make clones as powerful as the real Sabretooth. So we don't know where the real Sabretooth is at all. We just know that Mr. Sinister is behind making this Wolverine clone. And he also envisions the ladies of the issue. He basically wants them to basically not come looking for him, because it's kind of the thing with Wolverine where he kind of does things by himself because he doesn't want other people to get hurt. That's why he can kind of be a lone wolf, odd man out sometimes when it comes to like X-Men, actually. And the next issue, apparently, we're going to be getting potentially that fight between Mr. Sinister potentially, and I guess Wolverine is going to end up going up against the Marauders, actually. So yeah, that was amazing. This truly was a broody. Oh my God. Well, to be fair, I guess it could be kind of broody. I mean, Wolverine is broody, right? But all jokes aside, this was a bloody, gory, action-filled comic book. I felt like the flashbacks of the comic really fleshed it out in terms of basically other characters having their moments with Wolverine and having him think about that. I thought that was actually cool. The inner monologuing was great because it later on impacted more scenes as they went. And the more Wolverine kept inner monologuing, he realized, wait a minute, I've beaten Sabretooth every single time. I can beat this guy if I can really try and change up the way I fight, actually. Because, well, if you do take out Wolverine's eyes, he would just kind of just like slash retardedly, right? But he realized, wait a minute, I don't have to go like that. I can actually fight a more efficient way. And then he realized in himself, he is stronger because of his adamantium factor. So yeah, the action in this comic book was great. The writing from Chris Claremont to flesh out what he's doing in this comic book to hook you in issue number 1 was awesome. I truly really loved reading this. I loved every minute of it, and I can't wait to actually get to Wolverine Deep Cut issue number 2. But I do want to figure out, like, okay, to be fair, there's one slight criticism, and this is basically for like new people. If you don't know who Mr. Sinister is, and if you don't know what he's talking about right here, this could be kind of confusing, but to be fair, if you're just getting into this stuff for like the first time, if you're a newcomer, which is nothing bad about that, this would be a nice little like, oh, I wonder who that guy is. Mr. Sinister is going to be the main villain of this 4-part miniseries, because a 4-part miniseries, Wolverine battling clones of villains he's fought throughout the X-Men history, and then later on he'll probably end up teaming up with Sabretooth to fight Mr. Sinister. Oh, you can just sign me up. I loved reading this. This was absolutely amazing. So if you have not added basically any Wolverine Deep Cut issues to your pull list, I recommend you do, because I think as of this week, Wolverine Deep Cut, the miniseries, is over. So you can just add all 4 books to your pull list and enjoy this book, honestly. This is what Marvel Comics needs to do. Chris Claremont gets it. The right amount of action, the right amount of dialogue, and the right amount of pacing for a comic. 28 pages with consistency that will flow, and it never, and how about I say this, so you don't get sidetracked by anything, because the flashbacks more than kind of give you the impact and pacing and atmosphere of the story, right? And then you truly do feel when Sabretooth rips out Wolverine's eyes that it's kind of over for him. But no, like all superheroes, they do actually prevail. So yeah, that is, my comic book review of Wolverine Deep Cut issue number 1. So just like I said in the beginning part of the video, you might see basically a 2 to 3 day gap between comic book reviews, only because it's not because I don't want to review more and more and more and give you guys more and more content. I obviously do. I want to obviously do it when there's no like outside noise of like the ambulance coming down the road or police cars or motorcycles. And I know you guys haven't heard that in those other previous comic book reviews yet, like Aliens vs. Avengers, Wolverine Revenge number 1, and the Ripazine number 1 review. And I want to make sure it stays that way. And what will I be reviewing next? I think I have Ultraman X Avengers. I think I'm reading that next, and then I'm going to end up probably going back to Wolverine Deep Cut issue number 2. And then obviously I have more stuff to review for you guys as well. Also, I've done comic book reviews in video format with Professor Savage Dad on the Iron Man podcast that I can also upload for you guys as well. And I know we also did one recently on the MSK show, which was our first one, which was the Dean Cain All-American Lawman Volume 1 by written by Gabe El-Taib of Big Man Comics. That also just got done on that show, and I'll be reviewing and I'll be uploading that review for you guys as well. And I just want to let you guys know this. I'm uploading consistent content. My goal, obviously, is to basically, at minimum, upload 3 comic book reviews a week, and I'm working on doing a trade paperback in that as well, mixed with, obviously, comic book reviews like this and video format comic book reviews whenever me and Professor Savage Dad do some of those as well. This way, when I do comic book reviews like this is a more of a consistent form of content I can give you guys constantly without obviously having him there, because obviously we have different stuff in our collections, and this is a way for me to, review the newer stuff for you guys, because, let's be honest here. A lot of you guys are going to be interested in the newer stuff because you don't know the history of a lot of these characters or comics or how to get into them, and I feel like doing the new stuff is a really good way of getting people in at basically a easy point of an entry. That way you guys can see what you want to navigate with in your comic book careers or hobbies, actually. And this was actually only, let me check the price tag really quickly. This as a comic book was only $3.99, So what's $3.99 times 4? I think it's like, what, $12 or some shit? Maybe like $15? Yeah. Or at least if you don't trust the other 2 or the other 3 issues holding up, just get issue number 1. You will not be disappointed. I think this is one of the best comic books, honestly, of the year. But I have to hold my judgment until I read the rest of the issues. So thank you guys for checking out this video. If you enjoyed the video, if you're a returning viewer or new viewer, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video or go live. I know I always mess up on that. I say that when I'm on my other channel. But yeah, thank you guys for checking out the video. Just like, subscribe, and comment down below, and hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video. I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, and I'm signing out, guys. See you guys later. Deuces. Peace.